Good morning, and a very happy and hopefully soon healthy new year. Welcome to the Sunday morning worship service coming to you from the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of York. I am Mary Barnes, and it is again my privilege to serve as the worship associate for this morning's service. Our mission here at UUCY is to be a transformational faith community that serves the religious and spiritual needs of a wide and diverse group of people, that engages in the work of social justice as our faith calls us to create a more equitable world, and that guides our children to become more engaged global citizens. If you are a first-time visitor, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. If you are interested in learning more about us, please email our welcome team at welcome_team@uuc.org. Everyone is also invited to chat in the type in the chat box. My husband is playing around with the computer and getting me very confused. Everyone is invited to type in the chat box any matters of the heart that they would like to share with us in the congregation. They will be announced later in the service today. We open our service with the sounding of the bell, followed by a moment of silence, in order to center ourselves and to prepare ourselves to receive today's message. It is our practice to light a chalice at the start of each gathering as the symbol of the living tradition of Unitarian Universalism. We also invite you at home to light a candle as we share our chalice lighting words. Our chalice lighting words this morning are entitled The Persistent Flame and were written by Amy Brooks. Even as the days grow shorter, and our homes shrink smaller, and our wicks burn lower, and our will to endure flickers, we light this chalice to kindle a flame of warmth as a reminder of the connection that draws us in to a community that opens us up. In gratitude for the breath in our lungs and the love in our hearts, for the gift of this day, alive. Our first hymn is number 1058, Be Ours a Religion. Please join in singing at home, though you will remain muted on Zoom. This is the time in our service we call a time for all ages. I would like to share a sweet story for the child in all of us. It is entitled Grandfather Bear's Fantastic Scarf and was written and illustrated by Gillian Yule. Grandpa Bear and Little Bear sat on the porch step side by side, watching for the evening star. It was so chilly that Grandpa wore his scarf. The little bear stroked it gently. "I love your scarf," Little Bear said. "It's so long and cozy." "It's like a part of me," said Grandpa Bear. "It grows long as my life grows long. I began to weave it when I was small like you. If you look carefully into my scarf, Little Bear, you'll see that there are two kinds of yarn. One goes up and down, and the other goes across. The long up and down yarn are its bones. They shape the scarf, just as your bones and all you inherit from Ma and Pa and even from me shape you. Likes, dislikes, loving berries, being afraid of bees, big paws. "I've got Pa's nose," exclaimed Little Bear. "Everyone says so." "There you are," said Grandpa Bear. "Your family passes on to you their ideas, their fears and joys, even their noses. Each of these is a part of you, like the long, different colored yarns, holding your scarf together. It's important to check the colors of these yarns. Perhaps an aunt gave you a bit of old yarn, like having grumpy mornings. Do you really want that in your scarf? You can't take it out of the days gone by. It's already woven in. But for the rest of your weaving, you want your own color. Choose your new color, tie it to the end of the old one, and keep going. No one says you have to live with someone else's handed-down color in your scarf. Make it your own." The next day, Little Bear looked closely at the weaving on Grandpa Bear's loom. "Grandpa, what are all those colors going across your up and down yarns?" "Those are the other yarns. They are very special because you decide what they will be. You make your own magic with these yarns, with the colors you love, the colors of your life. And pretty soon you'll have yards of your own colors, just like me." Dreaming about colors and feeling rather hungry with all this thinking, Little Bear said hopefully, "I like honey." "There," said Grandpa Bear, "that's your first color. Think of the color of honey." "I'd rather think about the taste of honey." So the two bears went into the kitchen to find a little something to eat. After lunch, Grandpa Bear and the Little Bear went for a walk. "Tell me more about weaving color," said the Little Bear. "What makes you happy?" asked Grandpa Bear. "Apples." "Apples? Lots and lots of colors in apples. Reds, greens, orange, bits of brown and yellows. And I like balloons and misty mountains and sunny days." "Wonderful. I can see your scarf is going to be bright. Now, if you were feeling sad or hurt, what color would you weave?" "Dark, dark gray." "That's a great color. So when you have a bad, gray, sad day, remember that it can be a beautiful color next to all the gorgeous apple and balloon colors." And then there is light and dark. Without light, we would not know dark. And without dark, we would not know light. Without cold, we would not know how nice it is to be warm. "Are there warm colors?" asked Little Bear. "Warm and cold colors. Can you think of a warm color?" "Fur color." The old bear laughed. "I think you're going to be a great weaver, Little Bear." The two of them wandered on into their favorite woods. The Little Bear collected lots of beautiful leaves that were all different shapes and colors. Back home, Grandpa Bear began to weave at his big loom. Little Bear curled up in his scarf to watch. "Look, Grandpa, there's a sparkly bit of yarn here." "I weave each day, and some days are so wonderful that I use special yarn, fluffy, glittery. That's how I remember the good days. One touch and I'm laughing." Like life, weaving has good days and bad days. But happiness is something you make for yourself. It is your own responsibility. What do you mean, Grandpa? I mean that when you become a weaver, you shouldn't blame life or others for the dreary bit of weaving you make. Your weaving is your own. Check the up and down threads for strength. Change yarns if you want to. Change back if you make a mistake. Don't be afraid of change or making mistakes, for they are part of learning to weave. Your scarf will be beautiful. You did it. You loved it. And you made it. Sitting on the porch step that evening, Grandpa Bear wrapped the little bear up in part of his long scarf. The light dimmed, and the two bears seemed just one shape, sitting so close together. I want to weave now too, said Little Bear, snuggling down beside Grandpa. You shall, said the old bear. Tomorrow we will set up a loom just for you. The stars came out in the dark, dark sky while the little bear dreamed about weaving and colors and his own adventure that would begin so soon. The stars came out in the dark, dark sky while the little bear dreamed about weaving and colors and his own adventure that would begin so soon.
Our reading today is by Ashley Haran, The Holy Work of Showing Up. How is it with your soul? This is the question that John Wesley, Anglican priest and the founder of Methodism, was known to ask of participants in small reflection groups. I ask you because, for me, this has been a hard week, a hard month, a hard year. So, beloveds, how is it with your souls? If your response to that question is anything like mine, I invite you to pause at some point today. When you do, take a deep breath, say a little prayer, sing a song, gaze upon the flicker of your candle, feel the force of gravity pulling us all together towards the same center. Whatever helps you feel more rooted and less alone. Remember to do this frequently, again and again. Each time you feel that rootedness and connection, hear this. You are loved beyond belief. You are enough. You are precious. Your work and your life matter. You are not alone. You are part of a we, a great cloud of witnesses, living and dead, who have insisted that this beautiful, broken world of ours is a blessing worthy of both deep gratitude and fierce protection. Our ancestors and our descendants are beckoning us, compelling us onward toward greater connection, greater compassion, greater commitment to one another and to the earth. Together, we are resilient and resourceful enough to say yes to that call, to make it our life's work in 1,000 different ways, knowing that we can do no other than bind ourselves more tightly together and throw ourselves into the holy work of showing up again and again to be part of a building that world which we dream of, but which we have not yet seen. Thus ends our reading.
As we ease into the new year, we present this message about gratitude as a spiritual practice with guest speaker Reverend Dr. Susan Frederick Gray, President of the Unitarian Universalist Association.
Dear ones, I'm going to be honest with you. For me, these past few months have been rough. As the pandemic wears on, I have experienced a level of exhaustion I have not known before. And it's not just the pandemic. It's witnessing the devastating impacts of widespread disinformation, the attacks on our democracy, the attacks on people's lives and rights. It's the attack on women's rights and reproductive health. And it is living through the increasingly frequent impacts of climate change. It has all been so much. And there is still so much grief at the loss of loved ones, family members, friends, and the nearly incalculable loss of so many lives to this pandemic. The despair is real. If you are feeling it, I want you to know you are not alone. I knew this in-between or liminal time would be more difficult than the early days of the pandemic, but I didn't really appreciate how it would feel in my body and spirit. But here's the thing that is saving me now. I have found myself out of necessity turning towards gratitude. As we enter this season of holidays and holy days, we have an opportunity to draw our attention to what sustains us, to draw our attention to the sources of love and care and gratitude in our lives. However you celebrate, holidays are a time that, and the rituals that surround them, are an opportunity for reflection. They often invite us to remember our past, which can bring joy as well as sorrow. But they also remind us to be attentive to the present moment. The writer and activist Adrienne Marie Brown writes, "I have had to soften my grip on a fearful future narrative and return to the humility of the present." I have had to soften my grip on a fearful future narrative and return to the humility of the present. Spiritually, in my daily practice, I am leaning into gratitude and attention to the sustaining present moment because I need a way to get in touch with the sources of joy and compassion in my life. Joy and compassion are life-sustaining. We are made for joy and compassion. Leaning into gratitude for this earth, gratitude for the relationships that sustain me, leaning into the presence of love that surrounds me and all of us, leaning into the gift that is present with each breath of life. This practice is bringing more joy and light into my spirit. Gratitude is a foundation for so many of the values and qualities that we hope to nurture. Gratitude helps us appreciate our loved ones and bring more care and attention to that which matters most. With time and consistency, practicing gratitude does nurture more joy in life. It makes us attentive to the beauty and the gifts that surround us and that are not of our own making. Gratitude helps us turn our unrealized desires to an appreciation of what we already have, and for what Adrienne Marie Brown describes as the humility of the present. Gratitude is a foundation for touching the earth with reverence, a practice of seeing life and the beauty of creation as a gift and treating it as such. Practicing gratitude, being intentional in taking time to name what we are grateful for, also reminds us of our fundamental interdependence. When I ask myself, what am I grateful for? I think of the people that I love and who love me. I think of the relationships that sustain me. I think of my sweet dog and how much I love him, how grateful I am for his presence in our family. I think of the gift of the earth. I open my attention and give thanks for the blue sky or the rain, for the trees and the sun, for the wind and the life-giving water. I remember the fundamental interdependence in which I am held, in which all life is held. And I feel that as a source of strength and connection. One of the things I love most about gratitude is that it's concrete. We all know what gratitude means. We know what it is to feel thankful. On the one hand, gratitude is simple and clear. However, when we really foster an intentional practice of being mindful every day, of taking time every day to think about what we are grateful for, to think about the gifts that have come to us and sustain us, we realize that gratitude actually has the power to deeply change our perspective. It has the power to shape and reshape our communities and our culture. Gratitude is incredibly powerful. Gratitude is a concrete practice that with time unlocks a generosity of spirit and a generosity of love. Experiencing our interconnectedness, experiencing the ways that we are not isolated beings, but deeply connected and held by gifts not of our own making, inspires a generosity of spirit for ourselves and for others. It inspires a desire to nurture those connections with love, to pay more attention to what matters. So I am calling myself back to gratitude these days. I am calling myself back to a practice of gratitude to find my way through the grief and the fear and the struggle and the despair. Now, to be clear, this practice of gratitude doesn't make our grief or my grief go away. And it doesn't mean I don't still have moments of fear and anger or feel gripped by despair. Intentional spiritual practice actually makes space for all of us to welcome whatever is present in our hearts. And gratitude reminds me that that is not all that life holds for me. There are so many ways to create a regular practice of gratitude. I know people who have gratitude journals who spend a little time each day writing down 1 or 2 or 3 things that they were grateful for from that day. Many years ago, I had a practice where every time I would cross the threshold of my home, either to leave or to come back home, as I crossed the threshold, I would pause and take a breath, and I would recall something that I was grateful for from the day or from the morning. These days, I am making time in my morning practice to ask myself what I am grateful for and to open my heart to those gifts. When our spirits are worn and weary from grief and loss and fear and anger, which legitimately our spirits are rightfully weary. When we are too short with ourselves or others, too impatient or critical or negative with ourselves or others, gratitude can be a practice that nurtures in us a generosity of spirit, a generosity of kindness. So much right now seeks to isolate us, to divide us, to wear us out and wear us down. Turning towards a concrete practice of gratitude helps combat the ways in which we are being called to isolation and division, because gratitude actually turns us toward each other. Reminds us of our interconnectedness, which is so critically, spiritually needed in our world these days. I know there are times in our lives when our despair and our grief is so great that we may not be able to even name one thing we are grateful for. I know those days are real. However, I also know that even if nothing comes, that just calling our attention to look for things we are grateful for helps open our eyes, our attention, our spirits, so that with time, we can become more aware of the gifts around us. Gratitude and practicing gratitude each day has been saving me. It's been reminding me of joy. It's been inspiring in me more joy, compassion, pleasure, humility. It's been reminding me of the gifts that are present in each moment. And finally, I want to say how grateful I am for all of you, and how grateful I am for this faith that we share. This faith that nurtures and sustains and holds me in these days. My prayer for you, my offering for you, I pray that there may be more moments of gratitude and joy in your days. And know that we are, all of us, deeply connected by unseen but real threads of compassion, of humanity and care. And that this is a source of strength and love in our lives. Blessings to you, blessed be, and I love you.
time in our service each week, we invite you into generosity. This congregation relies on the time, the talent, and the treasure of its members and friends in order to maintain our community, to grow our capacity, and to thrive both now and in the years to come. It is the practice of this congregation to share each week's offering with an organization serving our community that upholds our values. We use Share the Plate to honor our commitment to service to our local community through these generous donations to local partners. January's Share the Plate partner is Northeastern Neighborhood Association. NENA serves as a resource center for local residents. Emergency food, clothing, diapers, and household items are distributed on a walk-in basis. NENA was established as a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization in 1996, operating a food pantry located in the Pine Street Center at the corner of East Philadelphia and North Pine Streets. The Northeast Neighborhood Association began as a community of shalom, an urban initiative that emphasizes partnerships and collaborations. NENA's willingness to connect with all available resources and to work cooperatively with other groups in the community remains one of its strengths. Partners provide monetary and in-kind donations, volunteers, and services that benefit residents or enhance the community. NENA gratefully acknowledges their support. Please join with me now as we extinguish our chalice flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We extinguish the chalice here, so that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again.
A Call to Action by Swift Walker. Let's start with the people we love and those who love us. Thankful they are in our lives, obliging us to open our hearts. Let open hearts embrace the earth, the sea and soil and stars, blessed by bold beauty, the bounty of being. Then, with hearts open to beauty, let us embrace the arts and the generation of learning, that we should have wisdom. Let what wisdom we have, wan and wanting, lead us to strive so the seventh generation hence can live more fully. It is in that work, and that alone, that we can express our thankful spirit. May we make it so. For the opening to make it so, let us be truly grateful. Amen.
From the light of